All praises be to Allah. Oh, yes, we open our council meeting in the name of Allah. Peace and love to all. The father, the mother, and the child.
Right on. Beautiful. Look at that beautiful family. That sounds like family to me.
Love divine. I believe so. You want to double check? I have it from my knowledge. Yep, we ready now.
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We in the Holy Quran of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science.
Okay.
Circle 7. Divinely prepared by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And it begins, chapter 6, Life and Works of Jesus in India amongst the Muslims. Do I need to read that topic again? Did you catch anything? It said life and work of Jesus. Where? India. Amongst who? The Muslims. Oh, did they mistake that for Christians? But it said Muslim. I think somebody can spell it right. That's a big difference. Muslim and Christian.
And see, Muslim is the word there.
Mm-hmm.
Not Muslim.
Not M-U-S. I'm saying M-U-S.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
M-O-S.
And Mus. Okay.
And there's a difference.
Yeah.
When we are speaking in the Muslim, we are speaking different when we say the Muslim. The Muslims are the Shriners. Those is where you understanding the Muslims' teachings. Because remember, this was revealed from the Muslims of the East, not the Muslims. So Muslims is key word for those who have extended past Masonry. Mason or Mason's son. They go into a Muslim. They don't go into a Muslim. That's something totally different.
Yeah.
That links back to the Sufyan. But those are orders to get ones to elevated state. So when we are being exposed by Noble Drew Ali to what he exposed us to was the hidden Roman secrets. So behind closed doors, this is what they call themselves, Muslims. So it's important for all black people of America to know and understand that. That has nothing to do with the East. This has to do with Masonry. And when you getting promoted from high degree in Masonry, your next highest degree is Muslim. So now when we're talking about Muslim, this is why we're going into this word, Muslim.
Well, say it because most folks won't analyze it that way because of the fact that they think Muslim and Muslim is the same. But they're even spelled different. One, a royal prince of India, Ravana, in the south, was at the Jewish feast. Ravana was a man of wealth And he was just, and with a band of Brahmin priests sought wisdom in the West. I wonder if all these billionaires that I know seeking any wisdom this day and time. Here's a wealthy man had the time, or would take the time, him and his priests, not just him, a band, sought wisdom in the West. You would think what they already have would be sufficient, but that goes to show you. I see why they seek knowledge from the cradle to the grave, and the Bible says, study to show thyself approval. So I guess that's what Rabbano was. Him and his men was trying to do. When Jesus stood among the Jewish priests and read and spoke, Ravana heard and was amazed. Sounds like something caught his ear, didn't it? And when he asked who Jesus was, he didn't know who Jesus was. From whence he came and what he was, Chief Hillel said, 5, we call this child the day star from on high. For he has come to bring to men a light, the light of life. Ain't that beautiful? To light up the way of men and to redeem his people of Israel. We'll stop right there for a moment. And all I could think about was when he was talking about from whence we came, and it says, from the soil and the star. And then I'm thinking, here's someone explaining who Jesus was, and he was the day star. It's beautiful, ain't it?
It's beautiful.
Said the light of life. Now, we need to talk on that a little bit. The light of life, because a lot of people just don't understand what the light of life is talking about.
And see, that's the beauty of having the foreknowledge. Now that we have, with all the studies that we have done and brought forth and put on public record.
Right on. Right
These connections are dealing with us unifying all of the teachings to one harmony.
Right on.
To all the harmonies of life. So the Sufyan teaches us that the word for life is the name of Allah. And specifically, it's the 14th name of Allah.
Wait.
When we talking about the light of life,
Ain't that beautiful? Mm-hmm.
the 14th name of Allah.
Wait. Mm-hmm. Come
Mhm.
on with it.
So this is getting to the life is talking about a certain light.
Yeah.
And this certain light is from our creator who created all. And without the existence of Allah would nothing exist.
Mm-hmm. Not a hammer at all. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So this is the wisdom he's seeking for.
Yes, sir.
This almighty
Beautiful.
knowledge
Beautiful.
of all law.
Beautiful.
Remember, this is the Muslim.
Look at. Oh.
So the Muslim is searching for all law.
Yeah, the rich man and that. No wonder. Can I pause? Can I jump in here just a moment?
Mm-hmm.
Cause see, when I look at the rich man today, which go by the title of the name Christian in Christianity,
Mm-hmm.
instead of he seeking wisdom, he dropping bombs and giving away guns to kill others. And then I'm seeing another enemy that got the money, honey. They the bikers and promoters of the war. And they Christian as well. They ought to be all in church today. But soon they get out, better look out. Light unto the way of men, because they don't know where they're going. And look how confused they are today. No matter which way he turn or go, there's trouble. And it says to redeem. Redeem.
Not salvation. This is key wording.
Do we need to look that up and see?
We can. Let's do
Get
it.
the meaning of redeem, because see, we need to go.
Because some of us may not know.
Let's make sure, man.
Redeem. Buy back.
Hmm.
Ransom.
Hmm?
Recover by purchase. This is what has to be done by the black people of America
Hmm.
and all people who are under inequality. So we get a message here, and it's very clear. They're searching for a wealthy man is searching for something greater than his physical wealth. And he's a Muslim.
Hmm.
And so it begins to show that there's something greater than physical.
Yeah.
And in this search, he is willing to go with a band of Brahmic priests.
Yeah.
That means the highest class of intellect and intelligence
I thought about that.
in motion. They come into the West.
Look at him.
So proverbially, we know where the West is.
Mm-hmm.
But in the text, it tells us to redeem the people of Israel.
Yeah.
So this is giving us keys, because we have to keep remembering these are hidden lessons
Yeah.
hidden by the Muslims, given to the Muslims of the West.
I got you.
So now when we're talking about the people of Israel, the people of Israel are Muslims. This is what's being decoded to us.
That's right. That's what it's saying.
These people are Muslims, but they claiming not to be. So these are people that cloak themselves, as the Sufyan was saying. Those who cloak themselves as Muslims. We're talking about the Muslims. These are the people that cloak themselves as Muslims. They get their degree. This is what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad learned from Noble Drew Ali. Masons have to go to the upper room. So when they come to the 33rd degree, in order to seek greater light of the 3rd degree, the 33 and the 3rd, they have to go to the degree of Muslim. So this whole conversation that we're learning about is getting us the insight to what's been going on in the East, to the insight of why there's constricted rumors of wars. These things are now giving the insight to the construction of what's really going on. Because these people ain't never told you the truth.
That's right.
And you need the pure truth in order to heal and cure self, family, and all of the community. When I say community, is the whole planet. The whole universe is our community. So we have to understand it's this certain light that we have to have in order to raise the ethers back to its love of our beautiful black, beautiful woman.
Right on. That's what I was telling them last night. Them two sisters. Go ahead.
The love of our beautiful black woman is the epitome.
Yes,
is the imitation, the exactness of the divine love from the divine creator. So when we are speaking about this motion that we're reading about, this certain dimension is happening to give us insight to a thought pattern. And we finna get more into this thought pattern of redemption.
And I just want to point out one thing before we go any further. When it said redeem and his people of Israel, he didn't say the people of Jews.
Good one.
Because see, now everybody fighting over who's who and proclaiming to be a Jew. And then everybody is over in Israel today. Hit fast forward, and when you go to Israel today, you got Jews, you got Muslim, and you got Christians. 3 different types of mankind, and each one to one here. But I just want to point that out, because there's a lot of invasion going on as I speak today, and at this very moment, somebody's land or somebody's peace is being invaded. It said, bring light to men. We're going to go on to number 6.
And see, we already covered that light just to cover our as we progress.
Right.
We don't want to forget what we have learned.
That's right. That's why I went back and pointed out when I read that about, let me see where I read. Oh, yeah. Said this child was called the day star. And then when we learned earlier in the Sufa, it was talking about our beginning, and it said it's from the soil of the earth, and above the heaven, it said the star. And then all I could think about was that as well.
Because remember, in our earlier previous lessons, the Sister Beautiful said and read that the copy from his sacred pages all the messages of purity and love. That every man of earth will read the words of life in language of his native land. And men will see the light, walk in the light, and be the light.
Beautiful.
So that's the light they coming to, searching from the east, coming to the west. See, because if we seeing that they don't have what Allah has given for all to have.
Right on.
See, because all has to be equal.
There you go.
So if anyone parading different sects, this is not equality.
That's right.
So we talking about oneness. And this oneness is a light. And as we read in chapter 1 and chapter 2, the holy breath. The holy breath. This is that Savior. Remember it said you have to reveal the light, you have to have the light.
Right on. That's what it says.
And it tells us that David, and remember King David.
King David, the Star of David.
Right.
There's another light going on.
And in just scriptural relation, let's just say scriptural kin, Jesus came from the root of David.
Right on.
So now when we talking about David, David of the light is purity.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
So we keeping all these connecting points.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
As we travel on the camel back.
Right on. Beautiful. 6. And Hillel told Ravana all about the child, about the prophecies concerning him, about the wonders of the night when he was born, about the visit of the Magian priest.
You said it, yep, Magian.
The Magian.
So now we getting even closer insight.
Yes, sir, buddy, because we talked about some
right. Priests. Yes, we talking about priests. The priesthood.
Yeah.
This is always the highest class in any society.
I wonder why, since they have so many university schools, why stuff like this have been taught, but all the other BS is, plenty of that is taught. But we won't get into that. We're going to move on. 7. About the way in which he was protected from the wrath of evil men, about his flight to Egypt land, and how he then was serving his father as a carpenter in Nazareth.
Now, we want to connect all the lessons that we was learning before we connected on the anatomical level, because we are getting insights into wisdom of light. And we are getting insight also to who are Muslims. So we are getting insight that the Magian priests are Muslims. Now we getting an understanding about how did your soul become to be birthed into existence.
Yeah.
See, all of us, as we were saying, come from the Father. As we understand the lessons, who created you? Allah. Where's the closest place you can meet Allah? In the heart. So when we talking about getting conceived, conception, when conception begin, this is a life of your beginnings for you to become men and women. If you didn't go through the conception stage or process, you would not be a child, let alone to become men and women.
Right on.
So we're talking about a very important process here because we just left the tools of the workshop of the mind. With the tools of the workshop of the mind, the spiritual tools, the spiritual compass, the spiritual square, the spiritual axe, the spiritual hammer, the spiritual plane, the spiritual line, the plummet, the chisel, and the saw. All these are used to build up the temple of the dome to purity of life. Now we're talking about conception. Because when the child is born, that is also called crowning. We remember? That's called crowning when the head comes out of the womb. The first thing you see come out the womb is the head, that's right. And that's called the crowning. So the heart was in the womb being formed into the body beautiful. The soul into a body beautiful. This is what the tools of the workshop of the mind was doing. This is how the woman can go about her business thinking her thoughts, but the womb is forming the embryo. So now when we're talking about everything that we get into, when the sperm from the orgasm is going to conceive is to get an egg. So this is when we come into egg land, the land of eggs, or Egypt.
Look at that.
So this is why we reading about the flight. Because this is how we all had to fly to get the egg to be able to be with our Father. As a carpenter, meaning you build your temple, the Solomon's temple in Nazareth. And remember, we just went over the rites, the cleansing rites of the soul. The soul is the temple within. So this is all we talking about. The temple within being built by the tools of the workshop of the mind and getting birthed out into existence to be the Godhead. This is what we speaking on.
When you mentioned that about his flight, and you know, when you think about back there at that time, wasn't no jet taking off. So that's a good way to point that out. Because you know, when no Delta 40, that wasn't the flight he was talking about.
Bring it home. It wasn't no airlines.
Wasn't no airlines going on.
We had to go to the airport.
Yeah, that's right. We headed to the airport. So he was headed to the airport because it said his flight.
Right. And I'm glad you feed that in.
You pointed that out. Because
it's the imagery.
It takes great wisdom to point that out, because, and then the egg in Egypt, just about, if you take that Y,
the sperm taking flight
image. You got another G there, that'll be your egg. That'll
right.
be egg land.
To egg land. Now this is the sperm taking flight as an imagery to egg land.
Yeah.
Building him a body to serve the Creator, to be with his Father. I and Father are one.
Yeah.
When you see me, you see the Father. It's talking about each of us as a self, creating ourselves.
Right on. And that's what is taking place, whether you realize it or not. But one other thing I like to point out also before we go any further. In that verse, it was saying about the way in which he was protected from the wrath of evil men. I want to point that out. Evil men. Not just one, but many.
Group.
Do you see any today walking around amongst you in the action that you might see if you even flash across the television screen? or whatever the case may be. Do you see any evil men amongst you? This is what I'm asking.
Yep, I flashed it across the
Because
TV
see,
screen.
we got to be protected.
See, the KOS News, we got it right here, flashed across the TV screen. Right here. The people who lost their faith in all law. This is who you speaking on about the men. These are the people who lost their faith in all law and cursed all gods.
Oh.
And who, upon gaining their freedom, split into groups.
Oh.
So these groups now became institutions. This is what we know them today. These groups became institutions owned by these groups.
What you say?
And these groups were former priests. Remember the Magian priests?
Yeah.
The former priests and scribes.
And these groups are priests too.
See, these are the ones that Moses took from Eggland. Moses took from Eggland. We understand Moses, Musa, the waters of life, bringing them from death, the water breaking. See, all this is a cosmology rolled into a parable, allegory, myth, and fable.
Yeah, I'm seeing that.
To steer all the people away from the one.
That's right. And that's what's going on.
All law.
That's correct.
And so now they have created all these institutions and got people splintered.
Yeah. Divided and splintered. Yeah.
Creating a mental schizophrenia.
Yep, that's what they're doing.
That is now creating this right here, beginning to worship lesser gods.
Oh my goodness.
That's physical things. Demons.
Yep.
And spirits.
Yep.
This is what's have happened.
Yep. And mankind, and even they got it so bad that they ain't even worship a man. If the Vatican was or the Pope was to come over here, you see the people falling down on bending knees, bowing down. You see, this just how deep this thing done got. And he can't walk the water. Okay, let's see. I think that's about it. I want to point out in that. Okay, all right. We'll move on to the next one. 8. Ravenna was entrenched and asked to know the way to Nazareth, that he might go and honor such a one as Son of Allah. The rich man wanted to go and honor. This day, you hit fast forward, this day and this time, the rich man have no respect. And when he first saw Jesus, he was climbing up a 12-step ladder. Ooh-wee. And he carried in his hand a compass, a square, and an axe.
This is very good.
You
right
can
here.
elaborate on that. And you got to cut your way out and through all that. Life.
So make sure they check out the live so they can see the imagery. If you checking out the video.
Yeah. So they see that what you pull up about the spine. Okay, okay, good. Beautiful. All right. Anything else want to suggest on that scripture there? So, okay, we move forward. 12. Rabbah said, all hail, most favorite son of heaven. And 13, and at the end, Rabbah made a feast for all the people of the town. And Jesus and his parents were honored guests. Rich man sure tight on his money today in this time. He don't believe in helping the time out of none at all. They got to be crooks. "14. For certain days, Rabbah was a guest in Joseph's home on Marmion Way. He sought to learn the secret of the wisdom of the Son, but it was all too great for him." Ooh, he done met his, look at him.
We talking about the Sufyan here. Let me make this clear.
We did y'all do. I need to go back and read that. He sought to learn the secret, but go ahead, son.
Right, because I would be asking, what is it that he learned?
Yeah.
So I'm showing y'all what he learned. For those who seek in truth. And to learn to know thyself.
Mm-hmm.
So when we saying from what we reading, let me find the present. On 14,
Yeah.
the secrets of the wisdom of the Son, and then the semicolon, and then, but it was all too great for him. It's not that the wisdom wasn't declared. The wisdom was said. But when it goes beyond words, this is where it's too great.
Yeah.
And this is where the Sufyan let us know, give us a great insight right here. The name that you would say, the word great, is a name of Allah. Great is the seventh name.
Look at that.
Of Allah.
Look at that.
So he was given greater wisdom that was beyond the seven. Into the circle. We talking purity, the highest plane of spirit life. Where wisdom speaks from. So now we hear in Sufa 7. Musi 7. All that is great. Remember, this was the teaching he was learning. All that is great is so at the design and the hand of Allah, the Almighty. Even unto the sun, the moon, all the celestial bodies. The greatness of Allah extends beyond what we can see. That's what he referring to. But it was all too great for him. It goes beyond what you can see now. Words can't describe it because now it is that itself. And we're talking about purity. Words can't describe purity. And this is where if you don't have the capacity to get to your greatest self, which is your purest self, then this wisdom becomes secret instead of sacred. Sacred, you live in it. Secret, you in fear of it. You in fear of yourself, blocked by ignorance of reaching your greatest self while living. This is not while dying.
That's right.
This is while living.
Right. Point that out.
The wealthy man know to go while he alive.
That's right. He ain't messing around, and he ain't messing around either.
Yes. And we was mentioning the name, Joseph's home.
Yeah. He went to Joseph's home.
Yes.
Did I pronounce that right? Maon way.
So now, this is how we come into the understanding why the Sufa honors Joseph or Yusuf. Now check this out. Let the truth now be revealed concerning the great prophet and King Joseph. Now who is Joseph? Jesus' father. Now, the Sufa acknowledges Joseph as Jesus' father, not coming from only begotten son or immaculate conception, known as the Son of God. And then the son that became God. So now we're talking about Joseph, his father. This is why they say he was a carpenter. This is all symbolic by Masons. You have to remember what Noble Drew Ali is bringing the public. Out in the open, what they doing behind closed walls. Number 5, may honor and peace be forever upon Joseph's name and Joseph's memory.
Sure did. I remember reading that.
Joseph was a holy king who sought to end the evil of the Persians. These are the Muslims. These are the Magians. The sacred king who refused the might of Mithra. Mithra is what people are practicing today as the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost.
Whoa.
Joseph, this is how they eliminated Joseph in the text that support Mithraism and made Jesus come through some Holy Spirit. So they can bring in the worship of Mithra. But see, Joseph wasn't with that. It was a no-go. Joseph was a beloved of all law and all true men. He was true and righteous.
Beautiful.
And beloved by all law. So this is why we have to understand why that story get mixed up in the sauce. This is how you know you start worshiping the false. So, and then it's telling you about Marmion's way.
Yeah.
So we know now there's only one way. And that's what? The Sufyan
way. Right on.
See, so these the things that how they code, the Muslims code the teachings.
Yeah.
To keep the more, because we're going to find out the true and the divine name of the more. Let's go to it. This is why the Moorish way or the Moorish science is called Al-Sufyan.
Okay.
So Marmion goes back to this word Morab.
Okay.
So Morab is the ancient word of the modern word we hear today, Moors. Moraba. Yes. And this is what Joseph was as the holy kings. So the holy kings or the highly kings was the Morab.
Go ahead, Joe.
The Moab was the first civilization and bringer of knowledge and wealth to Mesopotamia, Egypt, and Syria. That's to the east. From the west to the east. And now we reading about they coming from the east, coming to the from the east, coming to the west. So this is what undeniable proof to understand and know thyself. So that's the greatness. He's learning all about all law.
And then he asked that he might be the patron of the child. Might take him to the east, where he could learn the wisdom abroad.
And that's where you read your, well, it explains itself as we go. But Brahms, that's where you get the short word for Abraham. So the people who follow the teachings of the way of Abraham will call themselves Brahms or Brahman. See, and these are ancient codes from the Muslim, keeping their heritage, but they losing it because they not revealing it publicly for the true people to come to their origin to really bring all the wisdom back to its unity, which is purity. But that's when you'll find the texts we have covered, like the Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishads, and the Vedas, the Vedas.
Yeah.
Those are considered Brahmic texts.
That's right.
Or they call it Hinduism, Buddhism. That's what they're referring to.
Yep. And Jesus longed to go, that he might learn, and after many days, his parents gave consent. His obedience. He didn't just take up. 17, then with proud heart, Ravana with his train began the journey toward the rising sun. And after many days, they crossed the sand and reached the province of Orissa and the palace of the prince.
Now we're moving up the channels of the spine. So as you cross in the 12th, you're coming into another section. And now we're entering the section of the Orisha, which is a word for the brain, the cerebrium. So as we cross over the sands, the sands is the brain stem crossing into the cerebrum, which is, we get the 5 loaves, where they get the 5 loaves of bread in the scripture.
Boy, I tell you, all I could think was how they people think they done went from being who they are to on the corners and shopping malls and all. When I think of I see you, I see how you, the Israelite, they be on the corner talking about the 12 tribes, and they talking about people. They talking about the outer, what the book and all done wrote about and talking about. And now they can't get past that. When we talking about the inner, the higher.
That's why they say let the blind lead the blind and let the dead bury the dead.
I see why too.
Because we talking about making it into the palace.
Oh yes.
Or we would say in the Sufyan, paradise.
Yes, indeed. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm.
See, and this is paradise is entering the brain. Says you will find your place in paradise. You will share in the prosperity of your divine creator. Allah will direct them to the path of paradise. So once again, that's what it looks like. See, it's not how, look at the color on the screen. You see how it's golden up at the top? It widened out from you crossing the sand into a palace.
Yeah.
And that's the brain.
Like they'll look about like look like the sun from.
And that's the sun. This is what all this is symbolizing.
Yeah.
The consciousness represents the sun, and the sun represents purity. Seeing that's purity, that is seeing all, being all. The whole body, from the body all the way back up.
Man and woman body is amazing.
We amazing.
You can't even find a word to express that, man.
This is why beautiful.
Yes.
Great. Well, we use the names of Allah to express His creation. This ain't nothing that we made. We just expressing what's already here.
Yeah, that's right.
It's easy.
We made.
The tongue twister is the one making it complex.
Nothing we designed.
Right. We have our own name for the sun. We have our own name for everything that society has created through Kabbalah magic, which is wisdom magic, to form our away from the creator name into these company names.
Yeah.
So this is why people don't know none of this stuff no more, and they know companies.
Yep.
This what have replaced the knowledge of self. Is the knowledge of the companies, because they got all this knowledge that self needs. You got to go there instead of go to self. So they took this knowledge and this is what they done with it. They used it as magic on us. They took this wisdom and they used it as magic on us. So now at their highest level, they use the most wicked form of tricknology, which is wisdom magic. And this is why you have to be wise to decode they magic. Because they magic is to imitate and mask the divine. So we be trapped and not ascend towards the rising sun.
Right on. That's right. That's the trap.
Yep, number 18.
18. The Brahmic priests were glad to welcome home the prince. With favor, they received the Jewish boy. 19. And Jesus was accepted as a pupil in the temple of Jagannatha. And here he learned the Vedas and the Manic law.
Mm-hmm.
And last one, 20. The Brahmic masters wonders at the clear conception of the child and often were amazed when he explained to them the meaning of the law. Ain't that beautiful?
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
How could a child know so much?
Mm-hmm. The same way that we get to know so much. Because remember, he had great teachers as mothers and fathers. His father was a king. His mother was a higher self. So he was born into a grandiose of understanding. So when we talking about, this is why the history is so a mystery and distorted. But now we have it all whole and intact. Everything makes sense and everything is clearly conceived. And the temple of Jagannath, that's where you hear the word jugular.
Look at it.
The jugular vein.
Look at him. I thought.
That's the temple of Jagannath. This is where the temple, where we say the man has a temple. So he made it into the brain as a pupil. And he learned there the Vedas, that's the way of the holy breath. And then he learned the way of the maniac law, which is the way of the lower self. So the maniac law in the Sufa is the Romans. Just put R-O-N in front of it and you got what you need. Roman. So the maniac law is the Roman law. The Roman law is the worship of Satan law. So he had both understandings of God and Satan. Just like we supposed to have the knowledge of self, where you have the knowledge of self, which is the knowledge of others, knowledge of God, knowledge of Satan, and knowledge of both worlds. The devil's world and God worlds. These are two different worlds. We have to know both worlds, just as Jesus knew both worlds, because he came from both worlds. One world represents Lower Egypt, and the other world, and the one world represents the Upper Egypt. So we're talking about the lower egg parts and the upper egg parts. This is how we come to be and why we have chromosomes and genetics. So when we're talking about Manes, these are the exiled pharaohs who was betrayed by his own people, who chose the Manes of the swamp. See, and this is where the tomb pyramids were robbed. The slaves forced to rob the tombs of their ancestors for the Romans as the false pharaoh of the Rams. So when you hear the Ramses, this is what was going down in Egypt while their children were sacrificed for their blood. All these are the same people worshiping Satan. This is why you will hear the story about Jesus fleeing and going to a whole nother part. So it's important that we understand and know both of those realities. Now, that's chapter 7. That's chapter 6. let's go to see where. Let's go to the StreamYard to see it. Bring our bro. Yeah, I still ain't heard nothing. Hey, is your mic muted?
No, that's right. We ain't heard nothing yet from none of them. Brother L.
Is it? I say it ain't muted. Hold up.
The computer ain't muted.
No. Until it say it's not muted right there.